Hello, everyone. This is the Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Welcome back to this week's podcast. I've got a great one for you here today. At least I think it's going to be a great one. And I can tell you this, if you apply the rules that we're going to talk about to your sales career, you're going to find that you will be maximizing the opportunity that you have in front of you, which is going to allow you to live the life that you so desire. So with that, let's just jump into it here. You know, as many of you know, over the last several podcasts, or the last several months, I've talked to you about these books I've got out. And it's been really, in some degrees, life-changing, because it's amazing to me how many more people pay attention to you when you told them you've written a book, and how they treat you slightly different. It's almost kind of comical, right? And so I'm going to share a story with you that happened here recently in my office building because of the book. Now, I've been in the same office complex now for nearly 8 years, and I'm friendly with my neighbors. I pass them in the hallway. We stand around, maybe chat here and there every once in a while. We definitely wave at each other and that type of stuff. We're very cordial. But I'm not really friends with many of these people because we just, you know, the opportunity, I guess, has just never really presented itself. Everybody kind of comes in and goes to work and goes home, and that's kind of the deal. But since I've written the book, here about a week or so ago, one of the other business owners approached me and said, "Hey, I've seen your book, What You've Learned from Attending Over 35 Indy 500s, and I knew that you did some type of training, but I didn't know you were an author too. That's really impressive, and I wanted to talk to you a few minutes if you had just a few minutes." So I said, "Sure, what do you want to talk about?" And he said, "Well, you know, after looking at the book, I'm convinced, and now that I have a better understanding of what you do, that you might be able to help me and my salespeople become better at what they do. So I would like to sit down and talk to you about possibly us partnering up and working together and you helping me get my people trained." So of course I'm excited about that. And so he continues on with his conversation, and he says, "Well, I'm going to test you, because one of the things I learned in the book about you was, as you said, that you were really good at being able to size up organizations in very few short minutes. And I'm going to kind of put you to the test here." He said, "If we go walk through my office here, I've got about 20 salespeople on average." He said some come and go, but we have an average of 20 people. "But if we go walk through my office, one of the things you said you're capable of doing, without even meeting anybody, asking any questions, but just by walking by the salespeople, you would be able to tell me who my top producers are. Are you up for the test?" I looked back at him with a big smile and said, "I don't even have to do that. I can tell you who your top 5 people are without even walking into your office." And he said, well, what do you mean?" And so I said, "Well, let me tell you who they are." And I went right down the list and named each one of his top 5 salespeople, and then added a 6th person in who I thought was going to be, in the short term, rising to the top. Now, he stood there in stunned silence for a few seconds and then looked back and just simply asked, How did you know that? Have you been in my office before? Have you seen my sales board? Did somebody tip you off that I was going to come and talk to you? I mean, how were you able to do that with not even walking into my office?" And I proceeded to tell him how I did. It was actually very simple. You see, I pay attention. When I'm in my building, I pay attention to those people that are around me. I pay attention when I'm in the parking lot. I pay attention when I'm going to the restroom. I'm paying attention anytime I'm out and about. I'm paying attention. And so having worked here for the last 8 years, I pay attention to who's in the building and who's not in the building. And my office actually overlooks the parking lot, so I can see a lot of people come and go throughout the day. So I looked back at him and I answered his question. I said, "Here's how I can tell you who your top 5 people are, and who the 6th one's going to be here very shortly. It's pretty simple." I said, "You know, working here the last 8 years, your top 5 or 6 people have been here the whole time. And what's interesting about that, there's been at least another 10 people on your sales staff who have been there the same amount of time. And there seems to be about 5 people that kind of rotate in and out, meaning that, you know, they start and then they leave and maybe whatever. And that's fairly normal with a lot of sales staffs. But it was easy for me to decipher who your top people were simply because of this. Every day when I get here, because I'm a person that gets here typically between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning, when I get here, those people are already here. Those people that I named off, those people, they're already here. And many nights when I leave here at 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the evening, guess who is still there? Those people. It's easy to see who's successful and who wants to be successful by some of the simplest things I went on. Now, I can also tell you this. As I've mentioned in many podcasts here, you know, I have no problem working 7 days a week if time permits, because I like what I do. I'm involved with what I do. And if I wake up on a Saturday or Sunday and my options are to sit on the couch or sit around and do nothing, or come in and work for a few hours and get things done so that when I do have time off, then I can play harder. I'm going to come in. And as it turns out, most weeks I come in 6 or 7 days a week. And when I come in on Saturdays, I told him, I've noticed that some combination, if not all 5 or 6 of those people, there's always 2 or 3 of those people here working as well on Saturdays. I also told him this. When I see your people come in and out of your office, I notice there's certain people, and it's the same thing in all these offices, there's certain people that come out to use the restroom or maybe to go out and grab the mail or something out of their car, and they'll stand around in small groups of 3 or 4, and the little restroom break that should have only taken 4 or 5 minutes now turns into 15 or 20 minutes. But these 5 or 6 people, they don't do that. They're congenial, they say hi, they're not rude to people, but they just go about their business, they go do it, and they come back. So it's fairly easy to see, who is successful and who's not by their work habits or what appears to be their work habits. I went on to tell them, when I see these people, they're always smiling, they're always upbeat, they're always energized. They seem like the kind of people you'd want to be around. So see, by seeing who comes in early and stays late, who works on Saturdays sometimes, who doesn't mess around and joke around and try to burn time and clock watches, and who's always smiling, upbeat, congenial, and energetic, it's fairly easy for me to pick out who your top producers are. Now, there's some other things I noticed about these people, and I'll share those with you here in just a second. But before I do, I want to talk to you about this book right here, what I've learned from attending over 35 Indy 500s, Lessons in Sales, Motivation, Leadership, Management, and Life in General. Folks, this book is flying off the shelves. It's being sold at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway gift shop. It's available on Amazon. It is available on Apple and all your normal Barnes & Nobles and whatnot. I mean, the book is doing very, very well, and you want to get yourself a copy of it. I am in the process, because it is available in hard copy and soft copy. You can also download it onto your Kindles and your iPads and all that stuff, but I'm also in the process of doing an audio version of the book, so you can download that and listen to it, because we found out there's a lot of listeners out there that like to listen to their books as they travel to and from work and other places. And we're also going to be doing a video series on that as well. If you want to get this book, you simply go to thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com, or one of those other places I told you. You can order the book there in all those different ways. And if you want to learn more about me, go to those places. But again, get this book. It's great. Now, here's something else cool about this book. You've got a graduation coming up. What a great book. Life lessons in here for any young graduate. I mean, it's really not just a sports book. It's a life lessons book. Father's Day is coming up. I was surprised at the number of people bought this for Mother's Day. That's where I got the idea for Father's Day. So, I mean, it's a great book. Make sure you get it. And enjoy it, because as we're sitting here, it's literally becoming a national bestseller. And watch for me and listen for me on radio and TV programs, because I'm getting interviewed all over the place. So again, what I've learned from attending over 35 Indy 500s, get the book. You're going to love it. It's fun. It's a great book, too, for businesses to get and read, like maybe a chapter a week and then come back and talk about it in groups. A lot of you do that. Order the book. All right. So we were talking about how I'm able to surmise, surmise for this gentleman down the hallway here that has a software company. He's got 20 salespeople. How I was able, without even going into his office, being able to tell who his top 5 or 6 salespeople were. And like I said in the first half of this, I can tell by who's here early in the morning, who stays late, who's in here on Saturdays. They love their job, so they're always around. I do not promote being a workaholic. I would never miss, a wedding or graduation or an important event in my family. But again, if my options are to work, I'm going to work versus sitting at home. These same people that I was able to identify for him, his top 5 people, plus the 6th person that's on the rise, they don't stand around the hallways just jacking around and talking for 15, 20 minutes. When they're out there, they're going about their business, and that's it. I also said they always smile, they're upbeat, they're always friendly, they're always energetic. So there's a few more ways I can tell as well, and here's the next one. They're always dressed sharp. No matter what they have on, they're always dressed sharp. Their clothes are pressed, their clothes are fresh, their appearance is pressed, if you will, and fresh as well. And some of these people come in, because they're on the telephone in shorts. So one gentleman comes in almost every day in a t-shirt, but it's ironed, it's pressed, it's never offensive, it always matches, it's always clean. They're always dressed sharp, like they're ready to go anywhere, any time. Another way I could tell is because I've ridden up and down on the elevator with these people many, many times, and when you see these 5 people on the elevator, they're always willing to talk to everybody, they're always willing to engage other people. They have no problem talking about their business and what they do. Now, they're not showboat where they get on there and talk. what they're really good at when they engage people is building rapport with them by simply asking these other people about themselves and what they do, because they know that by asking somebody else about themselves and what they do, that in turn will get those people to ask you in return what you do. So they're always engaging, they're always excited. And then finally, I've noticed they always have something to write with, and they always have something to write on, and they're not shy about talking about their business and what they do, and they actually act like they can't wait to get into the place. So it was easy for me to tell him and describe to him who these people were. Now, you notice throughout the whole little podcast here, I've been talking about this sixth person who I felt was going to be one of his superstars soon. And you say, so what do you mean he's going to be a superstar soon? Well, here's how I know it. By watching again the parking lot and watching the hallways and just watching, coming and going as I do, I noticed this person's been down there for about 5 months. And right out of the gate, I've noticed what this person has done. He's done what most people don't do when they join a new sales staff. And what he did is he's modeled himself after the people that are most successful. He, too, is in here first thing in the morning, but most of the time before anybody else. He stays late. He's in here on Saturdays. He's dressed sharp. He's just like these other people, and I can only surmise that he's probably hanging around and taking the lead from those people and trying to figure out what they're doing, because you can tell he really wants this job. He really wants to do well, and he wants to maximize the opportunity. And knowing that he's been here now for the number of months that he has been, I know that he's probably not beating those 5 people. He may be, but he's about to join them. He's about to join them. And so the good news is, the better news is, by me being able to assess these people by not even walking through his office, because had I walked through his office, I probably could have told him how much each person made. I was able to not only impress this guy, but I was able to get the job and work with his staff. So it was a good day here at the Jeff Cowan. I was excited about that. So how can you take what I talked about today and apply it to yourself? Well, you got to ask yourself, when you're laying there in bed in the morning, you're trying to decide, should I get up? Should I hit the buzzer one more time? What should I do? Get out of bed. As a matter of fact, I'm going to challenge you to do something. Tomorrow morning, set your alarm clock a half hour early. If you have trouble getting up out of bed in the morning, one of the best ways to train yourself to do that is not a half hour, but just set your alarm clock 15 minutes earlier each day, 5 days in a row, until you reach the time that you want to get up where you're most productive, and you'll train yourself to get up earlier. Because once you get in the habit of doing it, you're always going to want to do it. I'm telling you, I wake up every day at 4 o'clock, and I'm never out of bed any later than 4:30. And it's great. I love it. It's my favorite time of day. Get in the habit of staying later. You say, well, where do I find the time? Well, ask yourself this. If you go home at night and you spend 3 or 4 hours binge watching Netflix, what about if you took 1 hour away from that and you just stayed at work? When it comes to Saturdays, it sounds like it's a drag because we're raised believing we're supposed to have the weekends off, we're supposed to be able to relax, we're supposed to be able to do these things. If you love what you're doing, going to work is some form of relaxation. And when you work on the weekends, the first time you do it, you're going to see that you're able to get so much more done. And if you're in a business like I am, where the people that I'm contacting go to work, and it's a great time to contact them on Saturdays because nobody else is bothering them. Monday through Friday, everybody's bothering them. It's easier to get a hold of them on Saturdays. When you go to work. You're not there to socialize. When you go to the restaurant and spend 15, 20 minutes talking about last night's basketball game, when you go to lunch, you have to come back. Instead of it being an hour, it turns into an hour and a half because you're standing around jacking your jaw with everybody. You're there to work. Let's get it done. The sooner you get it done, the quicker you get to go home. And if you're not smiling, you're not upbeat, you're not energetic, that probably means you don't like what you're doing. If you don't like what you're doing, life's too short. As far as dressing sharp, why wouldn't you want to? And as far as being congenial and interested in other people, it's one of the hallmarks of being a great salesperson. God, I believe, gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason. It's because he believes it's better if you listen twice as much as you talk. So yeah, tell people about yourself, but listen to them. That's how you get them engaged. Ask them questions, and that will lead to them asking you questions. And as a professional salesperson, I don't care that it is 2018. I don't care about all the new technologies out there. I've got it all. There's no technology I don't have and use, but you'll never find me without a pen and something to write with. It's just not possible. As a matter of fact, if you ever see me out and about, ask me if I've got a pen and something to write on. If I don't, I'll give you $100 because you'll never catch me without it. Because even in today's techie world, these tools are still highly valuable, and that's another meeting topic. So with that, I'm done with this week's podcast, so I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go out and find as many new prospects as you can. I want you to present them your product, and I want you to get them so excited about your product that they invest in it, meaning that you earned a whole bunch of commission that's going to allow you to live the lifestyle you so deserve, and it's going to be a blast. You're going to start living life, and I'm telling you what, because between now and next week and next week's podcast, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get a bunch of customers excited about what I do. I'm going to get them to sign on the dotted line. I'm going to take the commission, and I am going to live life because I've been doing it now for the last, I don't know how many years, and it's fun. I want you to have fun too. So with that, I'll see you next week. Come back and see me, and in the meantime, get that book. It's a great one. Take care.